Postmodernism, you know postmodernism, that's the bad guy. Where did objectivity come from, in a way? I mean, but objectivity, the way I studied it, was always object versus subject. So there's a duality always associated with objectivity. But I'm very much impressed with her analysis, Hannah Arendt's analysis of the Nazis and the origins of totalitarianism. In the way that they're doing Kant, they're really doing Kant. I mean, this is what I would propose. My problem with these guys, like with Hannah Arendt, and I think there is a value in analysis, in reflection, and all of that, but if it leads to nihilism, it ain't good. And this is my problem. This is the limits I got on postmodernism. You can analyze everything away, and if you've got nothing left and you're only negative in this context of today, you're doomed. That's why I think Nietzsche's the great character, because Nietzsche did two things. He analyzed, and as the book says, he analyzed the Enlightenment in a way no one had analyzed it before. And he did Zarathustra. So he gives the negative program, or the analytic reflective program of the genealogy of morals, Twilight of the Idols. Go through the list of that. But then he also wrote Zarathustra, which is a means, a way of saying life is not all about analysis. It's also, you got to affirm life. You've got to dance. So this is the great thing, I think, of Nietzsche. So what I would suggest to the point about objectivity and truth, if it doesn't in our time include an overcoming of nihilism, or at least acknowledging that, we got a problem. Or another way to put it is, there is an irrational part to a human being that maybe doesn't fit in this scientific rationalist view. And we got to account for it. That's what we're dealing with now. All the anger, all the stuff we're dealing with, if we don't have some psychological sense of that, together with a scientific view of things, I think we're stuck. I really do. Different people can communicate. But I would suggest to you, it's not necessarily, it need not always be precise language. It can be affect or emotion. People can relate in that way, which is not linguistic. Another one is, I think poets do it too. Poets force you to rethink precise language in a way that gets everybody kind of on the same page. So I don't think the only means to commonality is precise language. It's one means. I would suggest to you that's following the scientific rational model, and I think it's limiting. I think especially now. Well, in a way, if you read Heidegger on poetry and those guys, they were very serious about the meaning of poetry in that, and that's what Nietzsche's point, that you sort of end up, I mean, what does poetry do? It kind of makes you rethink the common. I mean, you take, as you suggest, you're using words in a particular common manner, and then by forcing it, you go, well, wow, it's much more there than the leaf is much more than the word. It's really, much more rich. The world is much richer than that simple, quick use of the word suggests. And that's beautiful. I think that really, does something. And I think if it's done in the company of different people, it can create that commonality. You know what I mean? So I think that's quite beautiful, do you know Nietzsche? Do you? Well, I say it only because he really is, in my mind, a bridge between an older world, a modernism, scientific rationalism, and is an analyzing and saying, but that is limited. That limit of totalitarianism in a scientific rationalist viewpoint is environmentalism, because you cannot do that anymore. There's only so much appropriating the world you can do. So Nietzsche, for me, is this person who really analyzes, and yet also then says, here is the direction, because this stuff is going to lead you to nihilism. Or they do in this book about how advertising in Look magazine, you can't tell the ads from the article in Look magazine or Life magazine. And now you go on the internet and you have no idea what's the advertising, what are you trying to tell me, what's the truth, what's this. This is just exponentially what they said, but it's just beyond anything that one could have imagined about blurring and making total a world where there's nothing else to be seen other than the consumption and this model that's been created out of capitalism in this totalitarian scientific rational viewpoint. And that is tough, man. Wow. How do you get out of that? This book of Kakutani is naive. I think truth has been manipulated in the United States from the get-go. This is a long history of purposes being confounded by capitalism and a total scientific rationalist worldview. So I think from the get-go we got to acknowledge that needs are created, first of all, and you're living in a world where people are just acting that, I need to have a smartphone, I need to be plugged in, I need all this. Well, who said that? Well, it's the total world view. I used to be able to pay my bills in the mail. Well, I can't anymore because the total world view is saying you got to do it on the computer now. So I just think that she touches the tip of the iceberg, and I realize she's making a popular polemic. It's not like I expect this all to come out of here. Yeah. But I'll tell you, I think she has a naive view of American culture from this book. I do